me right now, former federal prosecutors Harry Litman and Shan. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. So, Shan, what's your reaction to seeing Comey speaking out yesterday?
Well, confidence is not one of Director Comey's weaknesses, so it's a little bit redundant to say he's overconfident. But I would say that he's being very forthright. I mean, this is not something you can dispute. I think it's absolutely critical to note, as you did, that the critical takeaway is no political motivation. But these errors were significant. And I think it's important for our viewers to understand that there's a constant tension between law enforcement and prosecutors, and that's no different between the Department of Justice and the FBI. On everyday basis, there are small errors made in warrants, but when it comes to a FISA warrant, there's no such thing as a small error because it's such an intrusive step to take.
And I'm going to focus in on the FISA warrant process in a second. Harry, I would say that this all puts an even brighter spotlight on the FBI director now, Christopher Wray. I mean, what changes and what his moves are, what changes he does or doesn't make, and what it looks like going forward. Do you agree?
Yes, but there's a real problem here. He's acting impeccably. He's owned up to it and he's made changes. That's happened before. The real risk here is that the headline that you identified, Kate, will get obscured now. The bigger point of there being adequate predication and no bias will now be obscured, and Trump has this huge talking point that he's already galloping away with to say, you know, oh, look, they screwed up. I was right. It was wrong from the beginning, which is not the case, but that's the real worry. Wray has a spotlight on him, and Trump, of course, seems to have possibly his scalp in his sights. But Wray is acting appropriately, and everyone at the FBI is acknowledging the professional mistakes. Very, very different, though, from the charges that they've been cleared of.
And this does, though, spark, as you noted, Shan, a conversation about, once again, the secretive FISA courts. They have long been shrouded in secrecy. Even James Comey said yesterday that he was overconfident in the FISA process, as if he didn't know really what was going on there. What really should be the concern right now on this?
I think the concern should be more oversight by the Justice Department. So FBI is actually within the Justice Department, but operates with a lot of autonomy, and they're the law enforcement wing of it. The OIG report really makes recommendations that when it comes to certain types of sensitive investigations like this one involving a campaign, that there should be more senior Justice Department official oversight like the Deputy Attorney General. And as Harry knows, when it comes to other kinds of sensitive issues, such as asking for a warrant on a member of the media, there is a lot of oversight by DOJ directly, and that's one of the important recommendations that the OIG makes for going forward, trying to prevent this type of accident.
And look, I mean, people can have two thoughts in their minds at once. At least we sure would think folks can. And that is that this is an important conversation to be having, Harry, about the FISA process, about the FISA courts. There's long, ever since they were created, have been a debate about reform, about the level of secrecy, the lack of transparency from the public, from the media, even from Congress.
Totally. And look, in addition to what Shan says, the real problem here is it has to be, but it is ex parte, meaning the subject of the warrant doesn't get to participate. So it makes it paramount that the FBI does everything by the book, and the real risk is the court be somewhat, misinformed or incompletely informed, and 99% of these things are approved. We've always said, well, that's because they do it so right, but maybe that's not so. Maybe sometimes the court is snookered. That's a big worry. But of course, it's a worry here for Carter Page and not for Donald Trump. I just want to underscore that.
Point well taken. But Harry, Shan, this all also comes as CNN is reporting that morale at the FBI is suffering. The president is relentless in his criticism. Honestly, just look over the weekend. In a new op-ed today from former FBI, former CIA Director Bill Webster, he slammed the president and the current Attorney General for their attacks on the agency, writing this in part in this opinion piece: calling FBI professionals scum, as the president did, is a slur against people who risk their lives to keep us safe. Mr. Barr's charges a bias within the FBI made without providing any evidence in direct dispute of the findings of the nonpartisan Inspector General risk inflicting enduring damage on this critically important institution. Where do they go from here?
I think they go to where they've always gone, which is just to keep doing their job. There's going to be a time, hopefully soon, when Barr is gone, and his actions are just completely unsupportable. I mean, he's basically objecting to the idea that his senior staff have more oversight over the Fisa warrant. It's like, what is he talking about? He's obviously just trying to score political points for the president, and the FBI as an institution has had its ups and downs, it has had its flaws, but it continues to do its job every day, and that's where they're going to go. That's why they're going to persevere. That's why Barr is not going to persevere.
Harry, good to see you. Shan, good to see you, man. Thank you.
You too.
Still ahead for us after